The Vasa, Anissa Pinckney. The Vasa was a Swedish flagship commissioned by King Gustavus Adolphus II in 1625. King Gustavus hired leading nautical shipwright Henrik Hybertsen and his partner Arent de Goat. The king aided in Sweden becoming a great power. Therefore, to flaunt their strength and to compete with more powerful rivals, the Vasa was commissioned alongside 3 other boats. The Vasa was a large, beautiful ship that was ahead of its time. The Vasa stood 226 feet long, 170 feet high, and weighed 1,200 tons, with 10 sails, 64 cannons, and 120 tons of ballast. Although it already had 120 tons of ballast, the weight of the upper decks called for even more ballast than the Vasa can hold. The Vasa was a great ship, especially for its time, consisting of 7 decks. Issues during build. Leading naval architect Henrik Hybertsen fell ill during the construction of the Vasa, leading to his death just a year shy of when the Vasa was to be built. He passed his responsibilities to his assistant Hein Jacobsen, but during this time the trade was taught and passed down orally. Therefore, Hybertsen's untimely death left gaps during the build. There was also a language barrier between the 2 working crews. The Dutch did not understand the Finnish and Swedish, and they both had different units of measurement, making the port side of the boat larger than the starboard. Another issue they came across was the abnormally high center of gravity, due to the extra decks that were instructed to be added, and the gold and metal carved sculptures and paintings that were to be displayed on upper decks. Sea trial. A few months before the boat was to be officially labeled as complete, the boat's captain took 30 of his men and had them run from one end of the stern to the bow to demonstrate how the Vasa was too unstable. Due to the king wanting his new and improved flagship, the admiral stopped the sea trial because it seemed as though the Vasa was going to capsize. The Vasa's departure and defeat. On August 10th, 1620, the Vasa was stamped complete and then departed from Stockholm, Sweden's harbor. Although knowing the risk of this unstable boat, not even traveling 1 nautical mile, the Vasa capsized, claiming 30 plus lives. Engineering issues. The unevenness of the boat, port side being larger due to language and unit of measurements differences, lead shipwright passing during build, leaving the rest of the workers unable to effectively construct the boat, and mainly the Vasa's high center of gravity and the lack of ballast, being unable to stabilize the boat. The main issue was the adverse effect of the high center of gravity in relation to the boat's buoyancy. The boat was unsteady due to a lack of ballast, and not enough torque was formed to push the boat back to equilibrium due to the high center of gravity. The ballast is used to maintain a boat's upright position. On the Vasa, due to the addition of an extra gun deck and ornamental gold and metal structures and statues on the upper decks, the center of gravity on the Vasa was a lot higher than normal. The 120 tons of ballast could not create enough torque to push the boat back upright. Center of gravity is a fixed variable dependent on the composition of the boat, and it is the point where the entire weight points downwards. Now, the way to keep a boat upright due to wind and water movement is buoyancy. Buoyancy is the point where the center of gravity is displaced in the water and where mass points upwards. With the center of gravity being so high, when the boat would move side to side, these 2 points create a more vertical displacement, creating less torque, which is the force created to bring a boat back upright. And unable to bring the boat back to its upright position due to a more vertical torque, led the Vasa to capsize. Remedies and changes in engineering. The Vasa was a flagship that was ahead of its time. Shortly after the death of lead shipwright Henrik Hyberson, instead of passing the knowledge of the trade orally, tradespeople began creating blueprints. Almost a decade later, the ability to measure buoyancy enabled the creation of wider ships that hold more ballast and having lower centers of gravity for creating more horizontal torque to push the boat to its upright position. To conclude, the Vasa was a flagship commissioned by King Gustavus Adolphus II. He was King of Sweden from 1611 to 1632, and the Vasa he commissioned to be built was built in 2 years, due to them being a developing great power. The boat was very large for its time, highlighting engineering issues that were not considered beforehand. There were many issues that aided in the fall of the Vasa, but the main one was the high center of gravity, making the boat top-heavy. Now, in the boats that we see, a lot have aluminum upper decks to decrease the weight and force the center of gravity lower on the boat to aid in maintaining an upright position.